Hello my fellow R's and welcome back to another episode of A View from the Loft with me, P Block Scuds. Now in today's episode I'm joined by a very special guest and we're going to be talking about some of the negative people that have had to feature in our QPR history. The ones that have done us wrong, the ones that just didn't care, and the ones that we really just want to forget about. Now before this episode begins, I must warn you there is strong language throughout. But in this episode, we're going to be talking just about two of the managers that we feel are not fit to wear the hoops. So, as you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined here today by Mr. Talking Rangers himself, Charlie. Charlie, how you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. Ready to open a can of worms and talk about all these horrendous players, managers that we've had in our time. But yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I feel very passionate about, as I'm sure you do, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. It will be interesting to see, though, if they agree with us, or if they think there's someone else that should be, mentioned in this video. But guys, please make sure you leave that in the comments below. So, Charlie, where do we start? I mean, it's such a negative subject that I feel like we should possibly start with managers.
Yeah, I agree.
People that should be, putting us in that position of, goodness, and yet failing miserably or just literally rubbing everybody up the wrong fucking way. I'm gonna go and throw the first sheep.
You go for it.
I'm gonna throw the first sheep into the lion's den. Another Leism maybe later on in this video. If you haven't already, make sure you go and check out Charlie's part 1 video of us rating the songs, by the way. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about Mark.
Thank you for the plug.
Yeah, got a plug, mate. Got a plug. Right, I'm gonna talk about Mark fucking Hughes. Seriously, what possessed the owners to put that man in charge?
Bear with me 1 minute.
Okay. Oh,
Peter Blexy style, that one. If you've seen that video, you understand. But
yeah,
Mark Hughes. Didn't mean that wasn't planned. But Mark Hughes, God.
I mean,
I'll let you take the lead.
Let's look at some stats here. So Mark Hughes became manager on the 10th of January 2012. And his first game was 5 days later into his managerial career for us. So, that should have given him, a good few training sessions there to get to know the players. No, we go lose to Newcastle 1-0 in his first game. He did, however, pick up his first win in the FA Cup against MK Dons. Now, that should be warning bells straight away. We can't beat Newcastle, but we can beat MK Dons, who at the time are in League One, where they still are now, aren't they? His first Premiership win was against Wigan on the 21st of January and actually won 3-1, amazingly enough. He did secure some vital wins as manager, not him himself, but as manager, some vital wins against, Liverpool, Arsenal, Stoke, Tottenham, and Swansea. And we did just stay up underneath him on the last day of the season. I don't know if you really remember that game. Was it against Man City or?
Doesn't ring a bell.
No, I feel like there's a O sound in the background. Aguero?
Yeah,
no,
something
anyway,
like that.
It doesn't matter. We're not talking Man City, so. But
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, and he famously said, I
know
at the end of that game, under my management, we will never be in that position again. The following season, we got relegated.
I saw that interview recently, and I just remember seeing it the first time after the game, and just thinking, he's installing a bit of confidence. It'd be interesting to see, and then just the next season, how that unfolded.
I do remember because I was at my local community centre watching the game, and the emotions and everything. I was just, my head was spinning with it all. we just stayed up and almost beat Man City, and But I did remember watching that, and I remember, I think me and my dad, either together collectively or just back and forth to each other, said, "You're too fucking right. We don't want to be in that position again next season. We want to be, we want to be mid-table." And then just the following season, it was just, I don't know if you remember, but to me, it felt like every game was a loss.
Yeah, it did. Well, that's the thing. Started the season with a 5-0 loss to Swansea at home, opening day that season. Yeah. Absolutely abysmal performance.
Actually,
was shocking. They only just come up as well. Their first game, I think.
Yeah. And we started season rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where you finished it.
I cannot seem to find any positives about that man. As a manager, I just felt like, every time he gave interviews, it was like he was disinterested. It was never his fault. It was the pitch, it was the weather, it was whatever. It was never his fault. And it just like, he was more interested in spending all the money, and keeping his agent happy. The devil puppeteer, Gio Jokoban. What possessed the club to put him in charge, do you think?
Well, that's the thing. He took complete advantage of the inexperience of the owners. Just a couple of signings. So he paid 8 million, I think, for Granero. Caesar he brought over on massive wages. Green on big wages. Ji-sung Park. The signings he made absolutely wrecked the club. Like you say, I mean, he had, what did he do? Okay, with Man City. I can't remember quite how.
I think he did okay, and I mean,
he did okay.
With those other scumbags down the road, he did get to the Europa League final with the Tourist Club. So props there, but he's just a perfect example of you can be a really good footballer, but there's no way in hell you're going to be a good manager.
Well, that's the thing. Have you seen some of the word that Joe Barton has come out and said what he thinks about Mark Hughes? He's been very, very critical, saying he's the worst manager he's ever played under. And I think it just goes to show. I mean, how we've still been getting some of these jobs in the Premier League the last few years, like with Southampton and whatever, it's absolutely beyond me. He is a diabolical manager, completely out of his depth. Like I said, took complete advantage of the owners and just mugged us all off.
I mean, I've got fraud. Sorry, mate. I've got the list here of the total signings he made.
Oh, I don't want to know.
Not all bad.
There's a couple of good ones. Yeah.
First one is Nedum Manua. So Nedum Manua, love it. Love Nedum. Good sign. Tae Tawu came from AC Milan.
Yeah.
Had, sprinklings of,
a couple of glimpses of quality, but nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
So inconsistent, and he was pretty poor everywhere.
Dribble Cisse. I'm going to score 2 goals, and then I'm going to be out of the game because I'm going to get sent off. I'm going to come back, score 2 goals, and then I'm going to go and get myself sent off.
How many red cards did he get that year? But that was mental.
I feel like it's
half the season.
Exactly, he's half the season bleeding, suspended. Then there was Bobby Zamora. Well, Bobby Zamora.
Yeah, that needs no introduction.
Exactly. Ryan Nielsen, who actually had a good...
I'll tell you what. Yeah, he is one of the most underrated players we've had in the last, 5-10 years. I thought he was absolutely amazing for us that year.
When he went to
Yeah. He never gets talked about.
The sad thing is we got Nelson right at the end of his career. I think he wouldn't have been able to cope much longer than what he did.
No.
But, what a great player. Andy Johnson, again, sprinklings of goodness, and then spent more time on the, in the medics room.
Another one just passed it again.
Yeah.
After sell by date.
Rob Green, who I felt sorry for, because obviously signing Julio Cesar, he's on that list. Samba Diakite. Now, that was just a recipe for disaster. we signed Fabio, who was, you know, not really showing great amounts of what he did at Man U. But then again, you could see why he was let go from Man U. Ji-Sung Park, we'll talk about him later. Junior Hoylett, who at the tail end of his time with us actually, you know, brought the goods to the table.
Yeah. It took him so long to settle in though. Like he looked such a good player at Blackburn, but God, for the first few seasons of us, he was pretty poor, I think.
Yeah.
Came good towards the end, but that's another video, that one.
Yeah. Arrow, which you spoke about, and then the final nail in the coffin. Boss Wanker. I can't say his name. I'm sorry, I just cannot say that guy's name, but that we will definitely get onto later.
We certainly will.
That's just a fucking poor list, though, isn't it? Really, and the amount.
That's horrendous. But what's the wages then as well? The wage. I mean, but our average wage bill was like top half of the Premier League. It was so much higher for obviously where we were in the league. And like you said, you'd be expecting a much higher finishing position than bottom of the table in the second Premier League season where he was at the helm. And yeah, like I say, started the season off 5-0 loss, and we finished it.
Yeah, I mean,
20th.
Like you said, you know, he did take advantage of the board because they were naive. I think because at the time, obviously, City were, you know, starting to buy their way, you know, to the title. Obviously, Chelsea had done it as well previously. And I do feel like the board thought, you know, that instant success, you know, with the money. Hughes, you know, well, apart from the fact that Warnock should have been kept in charge, in my opinion, for that
100%.
first season. Hughes came in and went, yeah, fuck it. I don't really care if we stay up or not. I'm just going to go and, you know, get my cut, you know, get Giroud's cut. You know, he didn't care about the club at all.
No.
I don't think he cared, you know, whether we finished rock bottom that season or if we finished champions. It wouldn't have bothered him either way. But
yeah. I still think it's amazing that he actually did manage to keep us up that year. Sometimes you just, you know, it's surprising. But
yeah, well, you saying that though, Clint Hill, a video I watched recently of Clint Hill. I think I'm still actually get to send you the link to that.
yeah, I'm meaning to watch that.
Yeah, it's a really good video. And Clint actually said, it wasn't Mark. He says it was us. We, the players, actually said, "Come on, we've got to do this for the fans. Like, you know, we've worked so hard to get here, and we want to stay here." It was the players that, you know, that wanted to stay up, not Mark Hughes.
It just pains me to think, just to say his name. I can't stand the man.
If anything, you know, like, I mean, not that I'm comparing Mark Hughes to coronavirus, but at the moment with the lockdown and the dark darkest days of our history probably were under him.
It was the start of that spell that's the reason we're struggling so much now. It's because of that time, and it's just ruined the club. It's ruined the club. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know,
as that.
Winning the lottery, winning 10 million on the lottery, and then going blowing it all in 1 week, and then realizing that you've got no money left. You know, because now we've got no money left because of him, because of not just him. Harry Redknapp was partly to blame as well, but for the most part, it was Hughes. And it's disgusting.
Yeah, I think as well. No, go on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's disgusting that he was allowed to do that and walk away without being punished.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think as well, if you look, you dive further into the signings. All he wanted to do was bring in high-profile players. Look at Granero. He had experience at Real Madrid, 8 million. Like I said, Tai Wu from AC Milan. Wanted to bring in Fabio from Man United. They had no experience week in, week out in English football. No experience in the Premier League, which is what we needed. And he just thought, yeah, let's go get some big marquee signings from some big clubs that'll look good. And how did it work out? Granero was nowhere near to the physicality of the Premier League. I mean, just an example there. He just didn't really care. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it just frustrates me. Some of the decision making is diabolical.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we spent our heart. I remember that season that my season ticket had gone up by 200 quid because we was in the Prem, and I was like, you know, like, it's a bit steep, but all right, you know, it's Premier League football. I was a bit naive, you know, in that sense. But, I thought, we've paid out all that money to watch our team every week, and 9 times out of 10 they were losing. And not one of those players, well, not all the players, but most of them players, and especially the players that he brought into the club. I was at the full-time whistle. Oh, yeah, paycheck, off we go. I'll see you next week, lads.
That's what I mean. Yeah. They had no Premier League experience, but they also couldn't give a crap about the club. So many bad eggs. They'd done no research into the kind of personalities of the players, their backgrounds. You know what I mean? There's no idea of going, okay, so we think that he can gel with him. We can build a real core in the squad. It was, yeah, he looks good. We'll have him, and we'll see how it happens. It was no real,
horrible virus of a human being in our club.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we've got to move on.
Yeah, we need to move on. Come on. Give me something else to rant about.
All right. So the manager I've chosen is no other than the ex-Chelsea scumbag, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Hasselbank. I don't think you pronounced it properly. It's Hasselbank.
Yeah, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Yeah. A very, very poor manager in our spell. I mean, he doesn't, not quite the hatred towards Hughes, but it was just a poor decision from the club. It's like, so they're just ticking off all different types of managers at this point. So they'd gone for Mark Hughes. He'd been at City. That didn't work. So they went for Redknapp. They're trying to get a top, as close as you can to a top Premier League manager. That didn't work. So we've gone, okay, we'll go for a real young coach that's been at the club. We'll go for Chris Ramsey. That didn't work. So we'll go, okay, we'll go for another young manager, but one coming up through the leagues in Jim Floyd Hasselbank. And it was just completely wrong, the decision making. He had nearly just under a year in charge. He had the lowest points per game out of all the managers we've had there, even lower than Chris Ramsey. He won 13 out of 47 games, drawing 18. I just remember that season being under his control was so boring to watch.
Oh,
the football was diabolical.
It was just like it was like in fact, watching paint dry would have been more exciting than the football. And the team selection as well. Do you remember he basically rocked up on a Saturday or a Tuesday with a bowl of everybody's name in it, and he'd go, "Oh, okay, you're playing today. Oh, you're playing today." You'd be like, "Where's?"
There was always one person that was chosen though. He literally built that whole team around Cherry.
Oh God, yeah.
The most inconsistent, unreliable, not on goal player in the team. But I mean, he had moments of real quality. I mean, some of the stuff he did that year was sublime. Some goals
were, magnificent.
Amazing.
Out on him, didn't he? I'm not happy. I want to lose. Piss off.
I mean, how can you build a team around a player like that? It's just poor decision making, and then he stuck to that 4-2-3-1 the whole season, with 2 holding midfielders, 1 striker, and I mean, we played so defensive. But if you compare our goals conceded to other managers that weren't so defensive, I think they were near enough the same or worse. It was just the tactics were just oh God.
Do you know what I think he did was? I think he looked at the 2010-2011 season. Looked at that squad and went, well, I've got Cherry, he's like Tarek. I've got Poulter, he's like Helgeson. Well, we'll do that. And then we'll just defend and hope for the... And it's never going to fucking work.
No.
But, I mean, I remember when he was announced, and my initial reaction wasn't that he was ex-Chelsea. It was, what has he done at Burton? He got him up out of League 2 into League 1. Fair play, I'll give him that. But he hadn't even done a full season in League 1 with them. And they were looking like they were going to go up. And in fact, I think they did in the end, didn't they? But it was like, he's done nothing. Yeah. What warrants him to then step into our club and make a claim for leading the way?
Yeah, again, just half of the decisions that the managers that have been brought in from the owners has been pretty poor. But like I said, they're trying to cover bases, and this one was just another very poor managerial choice. It was a complete mismatch. Like you say, it was never really going to work. And it was just tactics there was no plan B. It was always just that 4-2-3-1, and it was just so boring to watch. One of those managers where you can kind of stomach it to a reasonable point, where you can see he's trying, you can see he's still trying to figure out his best team. But I don't know. It's one of the managers I just really wanted to see the back of.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't stand him no longer.
I think
You know, I think
went out and
yeah,
celebrated. I think I went out and
yeah.
celebrated that night when I found out he'd been sacked. So yeah.
Oh God,
Do
poor
you know
manager.
what the worst thing was though? Was that just before Hasselbank came in between him and Ramsey, Warnock had come back as caretaker.
Oh yeah, I know. I
And
forgot
we
about that.
won. We won a couple of games. I think we got.
We won Reading away. I remember.
I think it was like
Nick Nedum scored.
And
Yeah, we
I
got a
mean,
couple of results.
give him the job. Look what he's done before. You fucked him over
Oh
once
no.
before. Make it right this time. And what do they do? Oh no, it's one of Les's mates. We're going to give him the job instead. Based on what? Fucking nothing.
I know that's one thing. You know, whenever we sack a manager, and Les is still the director of football, I really, really fear that one day he's going to employ Tim Sherwood. As that whole time that we don't have a manager, I'm so paranoid that Sherwood's going to come in. But that's another subject.
I can hope, well, hopefully not, but I can see it like 10 years time. We're doing another version of this, and it's all changed. And Tim Sherwood's the first one on the list.
Oh God.
But yeah, Hasselbank. Oh, it's just, and again, it didn't help that he's had his connections with Chelsea. You know, you either got to look at Furlong. Furlong, first of all, when he came to the club, wasn't liked by the fans. He was booed on occasions. I remember him getting cheered off when he got subbed, but he turned it around, and now he's a club legend. John Spencer banged in goals. Everyone loved him. Hasselbank come in, fucked it up, did fuck all. Fuck off then. I don't want you managing my club.
Yeah. And he's been, if you look at what he's doing now, I think he went to Northampton Town, got sacked there. He's on a downward spiral really. Completely out of his depth.
It's another example.
You're gonna say,
I'll give him his due. He was a great player, but he's a shit manager. You know, and I've had that. I mean, that's a different conversation for another time. But talked about the top, Premier League managers. Most of them were shit players, but they're bloody good managers, And it just goes to show sometimes that you can be, the crappiest player in the world, but if you know how to manage, you're onto a given.
There's no real correlation, is there? It's
I mean, look at fucking
Hasselbank and
I was going to say, look at Warburton. He was a fucking
I know.
And his win percentage absolutely shits all over Hasselbank.
I know. Well, then you look at, Hasselbank still had some of the remains of the squad from the Premier League, whereas all the signings Warburton's brought in for no money. So don't compare.
Yeah.
Don't compare. He finished 12th when he came in, and then he came in halfway through the season in November, or nearly halfway, and then sacked the following November. So just under a year in charge, and we knew at that point that he was not taking us anywhere.
I think within a couple of weeks of him coming in, I think everybody knew that it wasn't going to last. And in fact, I remember at one point, I think when we had a couple of games where we were winning, people were singing like Hasselbank's Blue and White Army, and I refused. I absolutely refused. And people were like, "You're not enjoying it?" I was like, "No, I'm not singing his name. Why would I want to sing his name? He's a shit manager.
Yeah.
He's a Chelsea scumbag." Hey ho. So I think it's safe to say both our choices are definitely not fit to wear the hoops.
No, and I don't think any of those will mix opinion either. people are surely going to agree with those.
And I would like anyone to disagree with either of us.
I dare you.
Definitely. Me and Talking Rangers will come sort you out.
I'm sure everyone's very intimidated.
Oh, mate. So there you go, guys. That's our thoughts on both those managers. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And if you disagree, let me know why in the comments below. But as for part 2, that's when we're going to be talking about a lot of players that really weren't fit to wear the hoops. But anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button too, so you can keep up to date with all my latest videos. Well, until the next time, as always, come on you R's.